Hello partners, this video is about the water systems here on the Cara. Basically there are two water systems, fresh water and lake water. And the lake water system really is divided into three separate systems. One that feeds this sink in the kitchen, the sink in the main bathroom, and then there are separate systems that feed the sink down in the cuddy and the hose on the rear deck. The hose on the rear deck is controlled by this switch just above the stove. Please shut this switch off anytime you're not using the back hose to rinse off the rear deck or rinse off the top deck. The lake water as well as the fresh tank water can both be turned off here on the main console. These switches should be turned off anytime the boat is in transit, especially the Powell water switch. The fresh water faucets for both this bathroom on the main floor and the kitchen are spring activated and will turn off after just a few moments. The one in the front cuddy is a regular faucet and will stay on and empty your whole tank if you're not careful. Speaking of emptying the whole tank, this is something that should be done at the end of every trip. The freshwater tank is a 75-gallon tank and it's made of stainless steel down here in the hold. The only way to see how much water you have is to use the gauge. This is the gauge that will tell you how much water is in the tank. And if you will hold this first one and pump this not more than 3 times, you'll see that it'll settle in, and it shows that we have about 12 inches. If you look at the chart over here, 12 inches tells us that we are full. This is the potable water tank, the stainless steel tank. These other two don't seem to work, but one of them is for the main holding tank and the other is for the forward holding tank, but I haven't been able to actually make them work. I mentioned that the freshwater tank should be emptied at the end of each trip and refilled with fresh water. This is really important because of the temperatures down here at Lake Powell. Microbes tend to grow, and even if you do put bleach in the water, it's still a good idea for us to put fresh water in that tank every week. Really, the only way to completely empty that tank is to use this faucet in the forward cuddy. Turn it on and let it run till it's empty. After you drain the freshwater tank, be sure to switch the tank switch to off. To put fresh water into the freshwater holding tank, you can use the port on either side, starboard or port. Before you do, put in a little bleach. The EPA recommends a half teaspoon for 8 gallons of water. That works out to about 4.5 teaspoons or 1.5 tablespoons of unscented regular bleach. We use a bottle. You have to kind of squeeze the front a little bit to get it far enough in. Put in a little bit of bleach. And then using the white hose, the hose can be found right here in the hold. You can fill the tank. Some people fill it until the water runs out, but best practice would be to use the gauge inside, which I showed you earlier. Also, it would be best practice to not put fresh water in this port while you're emptying waste out of that port, just to reduce the chance of cross-contamination. So if you're going to put fresh water in while pumping waste, it would be best to use the freshwater port on the other side of the ship. Sometimes the air gets blocked, or the water tank gets blocked with air. So while you're filling it, if you open this valve, that'll let the air out and the tank will fill faster. Be sure to remember to close this valve after you fill the tank, or when you turn the water switch back on, you'll empty your tank.
Our tank is full and we've returned the hose to its proper location. That's all you really need to know about filling the freshwater tank. Do remember to turn the switch off after emptying the tank, and then remember to turn the switch back on as you need it. And that switch is located on the bridge. And it's labeled tank water.
One last word about the water systems. If you notice significantly reduced flow from the Lake Powell systems, the filters may need to be changed. And again, as I mentioned before, there are 3 separate pump and filter systems. This one is the one that feeds the kitchen and the main bathroom. There's one a little bit farther forward that feeds the front cuddy, and one over here by the wastewater tank, or the solid waste tank, that services the hose on the back. If the filters are clogged, simply remove them, make sure the pump's turned off, remove them, rinse them out, and replace them. A little bit of water will spill out, but don't worry about flooding the boat. You'll be fine. That's all there is to know about the water systems. Thanks, partners. I hope you have a great trip.